The definitive Slayer biography has just gotten even better. Author DX Ferris is back on the show to talk about his Reborn and Re-Remastered version of Slayer 66 and 2/3, a metal band biography.
We're totally booked.
Rock and roll!
Well, I think I'll leave you to your reading.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Rock and roller!
We are totally booked.
Welcome back to Booked on Rock, everybody, the podcast for those about to read and rock. The very first episode of 2026. A happy new year to all of you watching and listening. And we've got my man DX Ferris back.
All uphill from here.
DX Ferris has returned.
I can't believe you had me back.
This is the sequel. Yes. Well, you reached out to me and let me know that you've got an even bigger and badder version of your book, Slayer.
Things are afoot.
Things are
afoot. Now this giant book, this 639 page book, 170,000 words, give or take. Now you don't even have to read it.
It's version 4.11, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just clean it. Always typos. This is going to sound crazy to people that are not in the game, but I swear it's true. I know for a fact. Typos are malevolent, supernatural, mystical entities that are four-dimensional, and they travel through time, and they go back and manifest in places where they did not exist before. There's just no way to stop them thoroughly. You smash one down here and they pop up over there.
Well, you brought an outside source this time.
Yeah. This is the fourth edition of the book. The first one was self-published way back in 2013, shortly after the death of Jeff Hanneman. And I had a lot of innovative ideas for how I could crowdsource the copy editing, and that never worked. And what I found happening was I thought if I had 12 different people read the book, they would all catch all the errors and it would be fine. But proofreading and copy editing are very different processes than actually reading and editing something. So everybody, I guess to the book's credit, everybody wound up reading it. They just got drawn into the story, and next thing you know, they're reading it as a reader, not as a proofreader. So the first version of the book, if you read Amazon reviews from the old one, everybody was like, there are typos. You know, people would write reviews about it, complaining about typos with typos in it. It's tough. You know, your fingers and your hands don't work at the whole time or at the same time, at the same pace. So that's why this time I'm calling attention to the fact that we had a dedicated proofreader that did nothing but proofread it.
I had you back in July on the show. So for those who want to listen to that episode, we get into the overall body of the book and the first edition, or at least the edition that was out at that time. So you can listen to that. But let's get into what's in this new edition. One of the chapters gets into some newly discovered details from the group's early days. Can you share some of what you found out that's in the new version?
Yeah, always. This version of the book has, I present their invasion of New York as a campaign. You know, they arrived in New York and they played a series of shows, you know, at big nightclubs. They played one with a legendary group of metal fans called the Old Bridge Militia that were instrumental in putting Metallica on the map. I mean, these guys, if they gave you their stamp of approval, you were in. You were pretty much nationally accepted. And, you know, their imprimatur was important, but they also wouldn't get behind you if you were a bad band. So these guys putting their arms around you and saying, yes, we approve, meant that you had the goods. So these guys were integral for Metallica's career, and they really helped Slayer come along. So part of what we have is we have more detailed accounts of Slayer's early gigs, how they went into New York as somewhat of an unknown entity, and they left having absolutely devastated the state in venues that were big, in venues that were medium, in venues that were small, and in venues that were tiny. They played the Old Bridge Militia's basement, essentially. There's a great tape of that out there. That I don't think it was an instrumental show, but the tape is instrumental. So we get, you know, through the book, you know, I essentially do 6 things. I don't know if I'll list them all, but we go into the historical record. What happened when? What are the dates? When did the records go? Then 2, what are the people like? What are the individual players? individual profiles of people like Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman, Tom Araya, then later Gary Holt, who filled in. So who are the people like? And then what was it like to be there? I saw them as early as 1988, but so many people saw them before that. So we try to give you through the book a sense of what it was like to be a Slayer fan and watch the band happen and see it unfold before your eyes. So this version of the book has more details, more very detailed accounts of early shows where people did things like dive off of balconies and land on the stage and crash through the stage.
Wow. Where does this information come from? Do you find it on your own? Do you have fans that know you well enough to feed you some new information?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. The band's legendary, their very first, he doesn't like the title tour manager, Doug Goodman, figure of some renown in the music business. He was their first tour manager. He calls himself tour guide. Real early on, he went on tour with the band. And he was trying to help out, be useful, and they gave him a drum case to carry, and so he starts carrying it up or down a series of steps, and he drops it, and it goes clunk, 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 clunk down the stairs. And they say, you know what? Why don't you leave the drums alone? Go figure out how we get paid. And that launched him into a whole career of working with guys like, there's a very famous picture of Billy Corgan on a roller coaster. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
And it's damn near iconic. I use that word a lot, but it's a picture of Billy Corgan on this roller coaster, and the guy next to him is going, yeah. And Billy Corgan sitting there going, looking very dour. And the guy having a good time in that picture is tour manager Doug Goodman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you know Slayer tapes, if you follow Slayer bootlegs, you've heard of tour manager Doug. Like, he's one of the guys. A lot of fans like Mike Schutzman, the guy that owns Slip Disc Records in Valley Stream, New York. He was the guy, if you know Metallica or Overkill, Slayer, if they were doing an in-store signing, it was probably at his store. Guys like that. Just super fans that I've met over Facebook, exchanges, that kind of thing. Super fan named Jay Levitz, real smart, articulate guy. This guy is a mailman, so he spends a lot of time just roaming the earth with nothing but his thoughts to keep him company. And this guy has like 40 years of thoughts about Slayer and opinions that he's never been able to share with anybody to the degree that he has with me. So I've stumbled into a lot of these excellent super fans that saw the band in 1984 and saw them in 2018 and saw them in 2023.
I love getting the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
Those who were there.
That is a big part of what we do with it. Another thing, like maybe number 4 of 6, as I talked about, is I think we talked about this last time we talked a little bit. The earlier versions of my books are very opinionated, and this one is too. And so many people took that personally. They'd say, you like this album, and you don't like that album, but I love this album. That album reminds me of 95, and I'd listen to it in the Jeep with my pal Joey, man. Good times. What do you mean you don't like it? Well, I don't know, man. I don't know Joey. I can't testify. That album doesn't remind me of that. So part of what I did, not to address those people directly, but I've conducted over the past 2026 now, this is getting scary. Over the past like 8 years, I've conducted like 3 major fan surveys, asking people like, what are your favorite records? What are your favorite songs, favorite albums? Who do you think is the MVP in the band, most valuable player? What do you like? What do you not like? So this time around, if I'm saying that Undisputed Attitude, their very polarizing punk covers album, if I'm saying that it is one of the high points of Western culture, for my money, do other people agree? So for every different album, I say, well, here's how fans voted on it. This percentage of people said it's their least favorite. This percentage of people said it's their most favorite. This is how it compares to these other ones. So I try to make it more clear when my opinion is just my opinion. You can disagree. And I'm right up front always with the disclaimer that, like, hey, if you have a different opinion, you're right and I'm wrong. Like, I don't need to be right. I'm just telling you what I think, and I always assumed people would understand that, but they did not always. So now it says right up front in the book, if you have a different opinion, you are right. I am wrong. But here's the other fans too, Um,
The new version has the results from 3 fan surveys.
generally, what does the fan base think of this record? Maybe they disagree with you. I'm still not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's an outlier. I like some records more than other people. Some people like other records more than I do.
Yeah, I'm with you on the assumption, though, that everybody would pretty much understand that there's no right or wrong. And there's certainly nothing wrong with having your opinion. But boy, there are
Slayer fans, a little bit passionate, a little bit energetic, a little bit, it's a very important band to them.
Yeah, I never take, I just can't even imagine taking something personally if somebody says that they like an album that I don't like. Like, okay, that's cool.
Well, Slayer fans really like these records.
Yeah. I just talked to somebody who wrote a book on Van Halen, and he was talking about, he got on board during Diver Down when that album was out. So that album means a lot to him. Now, that's an album that most Van Halen fans will say is their least favorite of the first 6 during the Dave era. Again,
but
nobody's right, nobody's
one.
wrong. It's,
as I was discovering Van Halen, it never occurred to me that anything was wrong with that.
Yeah. But again, I think it's cool though that you have the fan surveys and the results in this latest edition, because you're giving the fans the opportunity to speak out. It's not, you're basically saying it ain't just all about me. You guys matter too. The fans matter. And I would think majority of the responses that you've gotten from this book over the years has been, it's got to be like 99% positive.
Yeah. I mean, over 13 years of Amazon.com reviews, like it got 302 Amazon reviews, which, like everything in my career, like it's not an impressive number. It's not a big number, but for somebody of my relative stature, it is a lot. Like
sure.
For somebody doing it on the level that I'm doing it. But across like 13 years of reviews on Amazon, it averaged 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that's an A minus.
And they have to appreciate the efforts that you've gone through just to create this book, because not every publisher maybe would, I don't know. I mean, Slayer is a hugely popular band, so there's certainly plenty of publishers that would want to publish a book on Slayer, but you've done this on your own.
Yeah, I get to do it what I do. I'm evangelical about independent publishing, independent media. I'm able to revise this book anytime I want, and I do. But no publisher was telling me, well, I know it seems like a good time to update the Slayer story because they got back together, obviously. But you know what? We need to sell these 4,000 copies that we have, and then maybe we'll think about updating the book. So I was able to just pull the trigger and do it when, not exactly when I wanted to. I mean, I was working on it when I wanted to, but also at the risk of crazy hippie talk, the book is done when the book lets you be done with it. So when the book would let me finish it, I was done. But I was able to set it in motion without worrying about somebody saying no.
Hey guys, we'll get back to the show, but first I want to tell you about an exclusive deal for Booked on Rock listeners. Get 15% off any purchase at oldglory.com. Over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Merchandise featuring legendary music artists like Bob Marley, The Beatles, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and many, many more. Go to oldglory.com. Make sure to use the promo code BookedOnRock. Also find a link in this episode's show notes, or just go to bookedonrock.com and click on My Deals. Did this latest version surprise you? Did you think you were done? And then this information comes along and you're thinking, wow, I guess I got to do a new version. Or did you see this coming?
Yeah, the book and the new audiobook version of it and my podcast all can 3 things dovetail together? I think that's a bad metaphor. Pardon me if you're being over precise with language, or I'm being under precise. But the way the audiobook started was in 2023. I launched a podcast called Talkin' Slayer. And if you're a Slayer fan, you know there's a phrase associated with Slayer that is something Slayer, and I'm not going to say it in mixed company, not here. But it kind of rhymes with talking. So I launched my podcast Talkin' Slayer as a weekly podcast, and every week I would read you one or two chapters of the book. And at that time, Slayer were broken up. They'd been broken up for 4 years, basically. And it looked like they were going to be the one entertainment entity ever that would retire and stay retired. I mean, I'm a fan of pro wrestling. I'm a fan of music. Anytime somebody tells you it's a retirement tour, maybe it's not a lie at the time. Maybe it's not a lie at the moment, but they're not going to retire, you know?
Yeah.
So Slayer looked retired. So I thought I'm going to read the book and then we'll have an audio book. I'll just bang out a couple chapters every week, do it as a podcast. And when it's all done, there it is. Boom, audio book. So when that audio book was just about done, Slayer announced their return. They announced they were going to come back and start playing shows with festivals, not tours necessarily. That's a real controversial point in how the band had sold their previous quote unquote final world tour. Did they bill it as a retirement tour, as a farewell tour, as final shows, or how did they sell it? We talk about that in the book. So they got back together, and at that point the book was like 62 chapters, something like that. It was about 131,000 words.
And what year is this?
That was 2023. So
Okay.
I dropped the version in 2023, and then the band promptly got back together. In 2024, they announced their retirement. So when they announced their retirement, I started adding this in, I started adding that in every week, like literally reading through my Slayer book, like this thing occurred to me and that thing occurred to me, and I caught this and I fixed that and I embellished that. And that just wound up spiraling into this massive update of the Slayer book where, the previous edition was 350 pages, something like this. Now the longest version of it is 639 pages. Previous edition had something like 450 research citations and references and endnotes. The new version of it has 795. It's a lot bigger.
Well, you do get into the band's 2025 surprising reunion in this new version too.
The book covers their first reunion season up through 2024 when they came back, and the audio book has the book itself is 72 chapters, but the audio book includes 12 bonus chapters, if that gives you an idea of how much bonus material you get with the audio book. And 4 of those are about the 2025 reunion season. And among the interesting metrics from that, Slayer were one of the headlining bands for Back to the Beginning, the final Sabbath show, right? So the bands that played after Slayer were Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Guns N' Roses. I always get the order of Metallica and GNR reversed. And then number 5 on an all-time bill of all-time greats, everybody who was anybody in the hard rock world, except Dave Mustaine. That's a different topic. We cover him in the book. Then number 5 was Slayer. So when you had all the heaviest, best hard rock bands in the world, number 5 on the bill, Slayer. And we cover that in the audio book, and it's not in the paperback.
What about the Rick Rubin? Not yet. The Rick Rubin watch. For those who don't know what that is, talk about that and any new info in this version, in the new version.
Yeah, this one I really expand my profile of Rick Rubin. This is my second Slayer book. The first one is part of the 33 1/3 series, kind of a big deal if you follow music writing. It's all about Rain and Blood, which was Rick Rubin's first real rock record that he produced. So at that point, he was barely known for the Beastie Boys. That record, yeah, I mean, it was just sort of out. It certainly was not the all-time great album. It wasn't recognized as such. But at that point, Rick Rubin was very much known as some New York dude in a leather jacket and long hair who produced rap. And now, all these years later, he's worked with something like 10% of the inductees in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The last time I did the math, Phil Spector was like maybe half that. And Slayer was his first step into a rock and roll production career, working with bands like Metallica, Black Sabbath, Johnny Cash, Red Hot Chili Peppers, so many greats. So the Rick Rubin Watch is something that I added in this version of the book. It charts a lot of the pivotal moments where Rubin and the band had meaningful interactions, where he really shaped things, or maybe where they parted ways. As a rock and roll fan, as a rock and roll writer, I think I have my PhD in Donny Iris history. We still got to talk about Donny Iris and the Cruisers, but I wrote a book about them. Like, that's what I consider my doctoral level project. Slayer's sort of my master's. Maybe I could have, if there's a degree in Slayer writing, I've written essentially 3 books about them at this point, because this new version is so new. But I think my undergraduate focus, like my primary interview or my primary interest, in somebody that liked his music when I was a civilian and somebody that still likes his music as a professional, my primary undergraduate degree, if you will, is in what I call Rick Rubinology, the study of Rick Rubin. I'm big on, I've written a couple motivational books and how-to books, and I'm always interested in success. How do people become successful? How do they become big? How do they become iconic? How do they do things that buck conventional wisdom, and just learn to operate themselves? How can you be somebody like Rubin, who on one hand is so unconventional and on the other hand is so successful? He's a guy that started off producing Aerosmith and Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Slayer, and he would rise up to become the co-head of Columbia Records. He didn't really have a title with them. He's a Zen kind of guy who's chill and doesn't need to say, like, I'm the president. So we chart the band's long relationship with him, and it's by the time that Rubin really hit the stratosphere, by that point, Slayer had long been his longest client, his longest creative partner. And eventually that ended, and that's a great story too. Kind of sad, but things have a lifespan, Eric.
Yeah, those stories are interesting to me. I'd love to read more about. There's a couple projects that he was involved with that I would love to read more about, find out more about. One is there was a U2 project that he was part of, and that album never happened, although I think a lot of the songs ended up surfacing in various versions, if I'm remembering correctly. But the other one that's interesting is AC/DC, and he worked with them on the Ballbreaker album, I think, right?
Right.
That's the one. And what I find interesting there is Malcolm and Angus, they didn't have anything bad to say about him, but they just said it didn't click.
Yeah, as I say in the book, interpersonal chemistry is a weird thing. Slayer is one of those bands that the first time they played together, it just instantly gelled for them. Like, this is us. This is what we do. Like, the 4 of us are exponentially larger than just the 4 of us alone. And Rick Rubin and Slayer gelled, and Rick Rubin and so many artists have gelled and have not gelled. Rubin has been very forthright in saying at that point he was just a young dude, and he was leading the charge, going, come on, go, 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 go. This is what we young dudes do. I am young and I have all the energy in the world. Let's do this. And AC/DC at that point were a little bit older, and they prefer to just relax and, get 2 good takes in an afternoon. And Rubin wanted them to do like 17. Different work habits.
So that album's solid. It's got some great songs on there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done some great work. He very much applied famously he applied the AC/DC sound and template to the Cult and to Danzig to change those bands and really affect how they sound. But in the book, I have running headlines that says Rick Rubin watch, audiobook and the book. Like, this is where Rick Rubin is. There's a 10-page index too. My late great dad was a scholar, and he used to say that it should be illegal to publish a book without an index. And he made the point that it should be a federal law too, not just a state law, federal. So I try to make it really easy to find things that you want, like through short titles. I try not to get too clever with the chapter titles, indexes, just making it easy to find what you want in the band's history. And if you want to know about Rick Rubin, there he is.
So yeah, you don't necessarily have to read it from start to finish. You could, but if you want to just kind of pick and choose some portions throughout the career.
I don't write for people that read on the toilet explicitly, but if you are a toilet reader, most of my books have a lot of short chapters. I believe in that. Make something that is easy to use. One time I was reading a book on a classic rock band that I like a lot, and it had 10 chapters and it was 400 pages. And I made it like maybe into the second chapter. Like, come on, I just want to hear about the Bob O'Reilly part. Why are you making me hunt for it?
Right. Right.
So, well, and no 40-page chapters. If you sit down and you're reading on the toilet, you can get something.
Find the Booked on Rock website at bookedonrock.com. There you can find all the back episodes of the show, the latest episode in video and audio, links to all of the platforms where you can listen to the podcast, plus all the social media platforms. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also, check out the Booked on Rock blog, find your local independent bookstore, find out all the latest hot rock book releases, and before you go, check out the Booked on Rock online store. Pick up some Booked on Rock merch. It's all at bookedonrock.com. I mentioned this last time you were on, but it's written in your own voice. You have a great style. I love the way you write. And it's when you're reading it, it's like I'm hearing you now that I've had you on the show a couple times. It's in your voice. I can just hear you.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's you.
That really, I think other versions of the book, the previous 3 editions, flirted with what this version is. At the first version of it, I was trying to sound professional and write like I think a writer should write and doing the things that writers do. And over the year leading up to the rewrite of this book, I was literally reading it out loud in my own voice and talking to people about it. That's why it's called Talking to Slayer. Like, I'm kind of reading it. I'm kind of reading it to you, but I'm talking to you as well. And that just really, once and for all gave me I don't know if you want to say confidence, but it's like, this is me. This is my voice. I've given up aspirations of, New York University inviting me to teach and be a professor. I'm being me at this point.
Well, I love it.
By reading the book, that's how I wound up rewriting the whole damn thing, basically. Thank you.
A couple other new things in this latest version. You get into Slayer's hazy and temporary breakup. Also, new photos. What can you tell us about the new photos in the book? How many? What are we talking about?
The previous version of the book had something like 33 photos and images, and those were stunning. That's still probably the best stuff in the book. I'm not going to lie, because you have photos from guys like Harold Oyman. I always pronounce his name wrong. Harold O, famous photographer. Half of the book that is Murder in the Front Row. He played bass for DRI for a while. Famous character. He took pictures of the band, including the shot on the cover that just captured their soul. I mean, you look into Jeff Hanneman's eyes in that picture and you're seeing that guy. It's perfect. It's an absolutely perfect depiction of Slayer as they emerge in the book. And then you have things like previously unpublished artwork from Albert Cuellar, who did The Hell Awaits and the Live on Dead picture disc. But on this new one, photography is so much easier now. I went to their first reunion concert in Chicago in 2024, and I was able to get really close. And I'm not a good photographer, not necessarily, but when you have an iPhone, you can take a lot of pictures and you can do it really quickly. And if you take 200, 300 photos, 40 of them might come out all right. So I did that.
Some of those are in the new version.
Yeah, so a lot of those, we got some good archival ones, people that know them over the years. So it's a big expansion from all over the years. Interesting things to see.
All right. Well, what can you tell us about this upcoming performance in 2026? This is for their 40th anniversary of the Rain in Blood album.
Yeah, we don't know yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be Rain in Blood in its entirety in some way, shape, or form, plus probably other hits. It's not a long album. It's 28, 29 minutes. But they've stated the intention that they are celebrating its birthday. So I'm guessing we're going to get that live in its entirety. Something that I is neat to work. We talk about their famous DVD, Still Raining, in 2003, give or take. They had the idea like our signature song is Raining Blood. Wouldn't it be cool if we actually staged a show where it rained blood? Somebody mentioned that to them. They thought it was a bad idea, and then they thought of a way to do it. Sounded like a good idea at the time, but it looks better on the video, but live, like a bunch of like red liquid coming out backlit, like just didn't look that good. They went the full nine. It was an impressive production. They really thought it through. They did it the best humanly possible, but red stuff dripping out of the sky live on stage, not that exciting. It looks cool in the video. But what they've done with these past couple reunion shows, I thought something that really impressed me about the 2025 reunion versus the 2024 was how different it was. They had a really good, really impressive visual presentation in 2024, and it would have been the easiest thing in the world to just dust that off and play it again. But, I think at least half of it, at very least, was new, and probably more than that. And part of what they did was they really refined the Raining Blood part of it to, between like the LED backdrop and between the visuals and the red fog and the red lights, it really looked like a 3D, like now it all came together. Like it looked like a blood rain. You didn't have to look closely and realize like, is that red blood? I guess so. Like now it looks like they can really put it together. So I think like it's really going to be literally worth seeing. Like, what are they going to do to visually present this classic album? And I think it'll be good.
They've got some time because it's not until late October.
Yeah.
And it's in Texas. I forget the venue.
Yeah, that's one of them. I think they're doing a series of them, but Texas, I think, is going to be the first one back.
Okay. All right. Well, for those who want to hear Ferris talk more about the book, check out episode 304 of Booked on Rock. Wherever you listen to the podcast, you can just go to bookedonrock.com under the episode and search for it there if you'd like. You could also watch the episode on YouTube. But yeah, go out and get this latest
the world's
version.
Happiest gorilla talk Slayer. Check out the video version.
Right. That was when you were in a different room, or is it the same room you're in now? Just for
no, same room, different angle.
Different angle.
Trying to switch it up, giving you variety. If the whole house caught on fire, once I got my kids out, this thing right there, this thing.
Yeah.
My dad had that in his office. He used to spend a lot of time in his office, and I would go down and visit him. Like, that's what I would save if the house caught on fire. Like, my dad had that in his office. And my mom's mom once visited my office, and she looked at it in horror. Looked around and was like, oh, my God, this looks like Sumner Ferris's office. Well, I wasn't going for that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Well, Slayer 66 and 2/3, a metal band biography, the oversized edition, post-reunion update, 4th edition, Reborn and Remastered. I think I got it all.
It's a lot there. It's available in 5 editions now.
Yeah, tell us about that. Okay, so where can people go to get it?
Yeah, like, I don't like asking for support. I'm not comfortable with it, but you guys got to help me out, because I made this decision, which is the kind of thing you can do in independent publishing. I was so happy with myself when I thought about this. And I didn't realize how it would affect my Amazon charts and book performance. The book itself exists in 4 versions, and now there's an audio book, but I didn't realize that every one of those 4 versions would count as a different product. So instead of all my numbers being pushed in one source, like they're cut between 4 different versions.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, but I still think it was the right thing to do. As an independent publisher, I can do that. I can do it because it's cool. So it exists in an uncut version that has all the everything. That's like a 6x9 edition. It exists in a coffee table version. And because that one is bigger and it has larger type, there's a limit on how many pages you can have. So it doesn't have as many reference sections. And a lot of Slayer fans aren't in this for the bibliography of it all. I get that. It still has full references. So there's a coffee table size version. Some people don't want to hear all this stuff. Some people love Slayer, but they don't want 666 pages worth of it. So I wrote a version that is just it's called long story short, ... and cheaper version that has no kind of digressions, no kind of background about thrash metal, has a lot less about how Dave Mustaine influenced that, a lot less contrast with Metallica and Slayer's career, and it's nothing but the chronological story of Slayer. So if you don't want to hear the sociological significance of Slayer and all this nerdy stuff, and you don't want to read the review of literature and methodology, you can just have the short version. And then there's the ebook, which is mostly in color, for the pictures that were available in color. That's cheap. That has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of live hyperlinks in it. So as you're flipping through the ebook, and I'm talking about this incredible show that happened in Philly in 1993 or whatever, you can tap it, see the show right there. And then there's now the audiobook. The audiobook has a lot of bonus material. And like I said, it's a very long book, a lot of research, a lot of work went into it, but now you don't even have to read it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out the Booked on Rock podcast. If you've just found the podcast, welcome. If you've been listening, thank you so much for your support. And make sure you tell a friend, a family member, share on social media, and let people know about Booked on Rock. And if you do like the podcast, make sure you subscribe, give a 5-star review wherever you listen to the Booked on Rock podcast. We're on Amazon, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, and on YouTube Music. You can check out the full episodes on video, along with video highlights from episodes on the Booked on Rock YouTube channel. Find it at Booked on Rock. Thanks again for listening. Now back to the show. All these versions are on Amazon?
Yeah, all these are on Amazon. For the audiobook, Bandcamp is the best place to get it. It's my favorite place to get it. Slayerbook.bandcamp.com gives you a lot of different options for downloading it because it's a big file, but you can also get it at Amazon and Audible.
All right. Well, I'll try to I'll get the Amazon link up there, and I'll get the Bandcamp link up there. And
yeah, Slayer
in the show notes
with an S on the end, SlayerBooks.com will get you to all the Amazon stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. SlayerBooks.com. And then you have the Bandcamp. I'll put a link up in the show notes for there. All right. DX Ferris. Ferris, thanks, man.
I hope you won't be embarrassed by this, but I got to let your audience know you offered to do this interview December 23rd.
I did.
I gave you a pass on that, but that's the kind of dude that Eric is.
I was stressing. I was like, man, I want to get him on during the holiday season to get some holiday sales.
I appreciate that, but I mean, that's the hardest working man in the business. You were going to take time out of drinking cocoa and singing carols to put on a show for your people.
That's right. But I wanted to have you back on.
As far as I know, he's the only guy in the whole biz that really actually reads the books. It's crazy.
Isn't it? Well, and I should listen to your book.
Yeah, now you don't have to.
Exactly. Now it's great to have you back on. And hey, I don't know, are you predicting more versions of this in the future?
I mean, the longest version is 639 pages. I'm not gonna stop within a stone's throw of 666, But
the Donnie Iris book, is that something you said you already wrote? A Donnie Iris book?
Yeah, the Donnie Iris book came out in 2017. It is before such a thing was trendy. It was a 75 for 75 book. Donnie had turned 75 that year, and it has 75 chapters.
Because that's when I'd like to have you back on to talk about Donnie Iris.
Have you accepted Donnie Iris as your personal savior?
I have not yet. I have not yet.
Let me tell you about the good news about Donnie Iris. If you like 1980s music, Donnie Iris is a guy that you probably have heard, but he's a guy you should know. His career, he had Hot 100 hits with not one, not two, but three different acts over the span of like 19 years. Still going strong, beat cancer, knock on wood, Chantani Donnie. And it's a story about a version of America that is not there anymore. So
Well,
it's
Aaliyah is
colorful
one of the
stuff.
best songs of the classic rock era.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A bliss, 120 audio tracks, gloriously stacked together. I mean, real world-class production. Guys in the band played with Kiss. They played with Trent Reznor, played with Joe Walsh, made a record with Gamble and Huff. All sorts of colorful stuff there. But that's another story.
82 years old and still going, from Elwood City, Pennsylvania.
You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
All right, now wait a minute. What Wild Cherry played that funky music? He's on that?
Not that. He and the band leader from the Cruisers met in Wild Cherry, but the band leader of the Cruisers joined Wild Cherry right after they had recorded that song, but before they had finished the record. To his credit, Mark Avsek, Donnie Iris's band leader, creative partner, he joined the band and the management said, "Hey, you're a good music guy. What would you do with this record? Play that funky music. It's pretty good, right? How would you change it?" And to Mark's credit, this is the kind of guy he is. Instead of saying, well, this is what I would do to put my stamp on it, he was smart enough to listen to it and go, I wouldn't do anything to it. It's great. Like,
Wow.
leave it alone.
Yeah. Love is Like a Rock. I forgot about too, man.
Yeah.
Badass.
Absolutely. They
What a riff.
went on a tear. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 monster records in a row and plenty of good stuff after that.
Yeah, we'll have a Donnie Iris episode. We'll make that happen. All right, Ferris. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
on, man.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You didn't have to have me on twice, but you did. You didn't have to have me on once, but you did. I appreciate it.
I'm happy to do it, man. And all the best on the latest version of the book. Happy New Year, and we will see you again soon.
Merry New Year. Thanks for listening, everybody.
That's it. It's in the books.